In the heart of Cedar Falls, under the blazing sun, an 8-year-old girl dropped the only medicine that could ease her mother's pain. The glass shattered, pills scattered like pearls across the pavement, and cruel laughter echoed around her. Chloe fell to her knees, blood mixing with her tears, whispering, "If I lose this, Mom won't survive." Dozens passed, cold and indifferent. Then, one man stopped. A weary millionaire knelt beside her, unaware that this moment would uncover a truth powerful enough to shatter his world. The summer heat pressed heavily on Cedar Falls's main street. Cars crawled in endless lines, horns blaring, while pedestrians hurried with no time to spare. Amidst the chaos, Chloe clutched the small bottle of medicine to her chest. Her stepfather had refused to fetch it, so she had walked alone, repeating to herself, "Don't drop it. This is for Mom." But fate struck cruelly. The bottle slipped, crashed against the concrete, and split into shards. Pills rolled across the pavement like fragile pearls escaping her grasp. Chloe dropped to her knees, pain stinging as blood smeared across her skin. Her tiny hands shook as she scrambled to gather the scattered medicine. "No, please. This is Mom's only chance." Her whisper was drowned by the roar of traffic. The crowd around her did not soften. A woman in heels clicked past, frowning with irritation. A man smirked, muttering, "Clumsy child, just like her mother." Teenagers chuckled nearby, their laughter stabbing sharper than the broken glass. Tears streamed down Chloe's cheeks, falling onto the pills she tried to save. Each second that passed deepened her despair, the fear that her mother would not survive without them. Then, through the circle of indifference, a figure stopped. Ethan Brooks, a tall man in his mid-40s, stood still. His gray suit was wrinkled, his tie loose, his face weary from a long day. He had been on his way for coffee, yet the sound of shattering glass and the cry of a child had pierced his heart. He watched her, so small, so desperate, fighting to rescue what others dismissed. Something stirred inside him, stronger than pity. It was an urgent pull, a voice within whispering, "This little girl needs you now." Without hesitation, Ethan stepped forward and knelt beside her. Ethan knelt down, the knees of his expensive suit brushing against dust and shards of glass. He ignored the stares, the whispers, the mocking eyes around them. His voice was steady yet gentle. "Stop. Don't touch them anymore. You'll hurt yourself." Chloe gasped, lifting her tearful eyes to the stranger. Unlike the others, his gaze held warmth. "Sir? Can you save the medicine? If I lose it, my mom will." Her words broke into sobs. Ethan's chest tightened. He did not let her finish. With careful hands, he began gathering the scattered pills, each one treated as if it were life itself. "We'll take these back to the pharmacy," he assured her softly. "If needed, I'll buy more. Don't worry." Chloe bit her lip, shame burning on her face. "But I don't have money. I can't pay you back." Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her small shoulder. "That isn't your burden. I'll handle it." The crowd shifted uncomfortably, some turning away. Their sneers melted into silence at the sight of the man calmly helping the little girl. Chloe watched in awe as Ethan placed the last pill gently into her trembling palms. Her tears still glistened, but now they mixed with fragile relief. Together they returned to the pharmacy. Ethan stood firm at the counter, speaking with quiet authority, until the prescription was renewed. Chloe clutched the medicine tightly, her small hands refusing to let go. Ethan guided her across the street. She walked close to him, every step uncertain yet full of trust. Her stomach suddenly growled. Embarrassed, she whispered, "I haven't eaten since morning." Ethan froze, then gave a small nod. He led her to a bakery nearby. The warm scent of fresh bread and roasted coffee wrapped around them like a protective blanket. Chloe sat timidly, medicine still in her hands. Her legs dangled above the floor, too short to reach the ground. Ethan ordered a glass of warm milk. Steam curled gently as it was placed before her. He nudged it closer. "Drink. Your mother would want you to be strong." Chloe hesitated, then sipped carefully. Warmth spread through her thin arms, calming her shaking hands. For the first time that day, her face softened. Ethan watched silently, emotions swelling inside him. Pity, yes, but also something deeper, a tug on his heart he could not ignore. He cleared his throat. "What's your name?" "Chloe," she whispered. "Chloe." He repeated it slowly, as if carving it into memory. "And your mother's name?" Her gaze dropped. "Rachel." Ethan froze. He had expected another name. Emily, the woman who had once held his heart before vanishing from his life 20 years ago. His pulse quickened. Rachel was unfamiliar, yet Chloe's face carried Emily's delicate features, the same eyes, the same trembling smile. Could Rachel be Emily, hidden under another name? He steadied his voice. "And your father?" Chloe shook her head firmly. "I've never met him. It's always just Mom." Her voice faltered, sadness creeping in. Ethan's throat tightened. This small child carried burdens no 8-year-old should. And still, in her eyes, he saw an echo of a past he thought lost. Chloe lifted her gaze timidly. "If Mom has her medicine, she'll get better, right?" Ethan wanted to promise yes, but he knew the truth was uncertain. He chose his words with care. "What matters most is that she has you, and now, she won't be alone again." Her lips quivered, but she nodded. In that moment, trust bloomed between them, a fragile bond born from compassion. Ethan sat back, his heart heavy with questions he could not yet ask. Who was Rachel really? Why did Chloe resemble Emily so strongly? And why did fate place this child in his path today out of all days? He looked at Chloe again, her small hands wrapped protectively around the medicine bottle, her thin shoulders trembling yet defiant. A thought pierced him with painful clarity. Perhaps destiny was offering him a second chance, one he dared not lose again. When Chloe finished her milk, Ethan noticed her hands never once loosened from the bottle of medicine. It was as if she feared that even blinking too long would cause it to vanish. His heart ached. He leaned forward gently. "Are you sure this is the right prescription?" She nodded quickly. "Yes. The doctor said if Mom misses a dose, it could be very dangerous, but our house is far, and I don't remember the exact instructions." Ethan rose, extending his hand. "Then let's check across the street. We'll confirm with another pharmacist just to be safe." Chloe hesitated, but when his large hand hovered protectively near hers, she followed. At the counter, the pharmacist confirmed the medicine, adding sternly, "Keep it dry. Take it on time. If she skips even once, her condition may worsen." The words weighed heavy on Ethan's chest. He glanced down at Chloe. Her lips trembled as she clung tighter to the bag. Outside, she tugged softly at his sleeve. "Sir, our home is this way." She pointed toward a narrow alley. Ethan frowned. The path was dark, damp, littered with broken bottles and scraps of trash. The stench of old liquor and rot clung to the air. He followed her reluctantly, his polished shoes crunching against cracked pavement. Each step pressed harder on his heart. At the alley's end, Chloe stopped before a crooked wooden door, its peeling paint barely hanging on. She unlocked it with a small key and pushed it open. Hinges groaned like a wounded animal. The stench hit first. Medicine, damp wood, and stale alcohol. Inside, the single room was dim, cluttered with dirty cups, pill bottles, and torn furniture. On the sagging sofa sat a woman, thin, pale, her body racked by a harsh cough. Her tangled hair framed a face Ethan could never mistake. Emily. Time seemed to halt. The woman lifted her weary eyes. Recognition cut through them like lightning. Her lips parted, quivering. Ethan. Ethan's breath caught. 20 years dissolved in an instant. The memories came back in a flood. A young woman's smile, promises broken, the day she vanished without explanation. Chloe's voice broke the silence. "Mom, I got the medicine." She rushed forward, kneeling beside her mother, placing the bottle into her trembling hands. Relief lit Emily's face, though her body shook violently. Ethan stepped closer, his voice rough with years of unspoken grief. "How long have you lived like this?" Emily's eyes darted away. Her lips pressed thin, as though meeting his gaze for even a second would shatter the wall she had built around her heart. "Not everyone lives in mansions, Ethan. Some of us only have these four walls." Her words pierced him, but before he could answer, the door burst open. A tall man stumbled in, reeking of alcohol. His shirt hung loose, tie askew, hair wild. His bloodshot eyes locked onto Ethan. "What's this? Another man in my house?" His voice was slurred but venomous. Emily stiffened. "Richard, don't misunderstand. He's just an old friend?" Richard sneered. "He reeks of money. Men like him don't walk into slums unless they want something filthy." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I only brought Chloe home. She shouldn't have to buy medicine alone." Richard laughed harshly, the sound filling the suffocating room. "And who are you to tell me how to raise a child? Raising a kid isn't done with soft words. It's done with money." Chloe froze, wide-eyed, clutching her mother's arm. Emily whispered urgently, "Richard, stop, you're scaring her." But Richard ignored her, staggering closer to Ethan. His breath stank of whiskey, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Get out, before I give you something to regret." Ethan's fists clenched, rage burning in his veins, but he forced it down. Violence would only terrify Chloe more. He turned toward the door, each step heavy. Yet when his hand touched the knob, he glanced back. Emily's pale face glowed under the flickering yellow light. Her eyes, hollow with exhaustion, flickered with something desperate. A silent plea. "Save me." Ethan's chest tightened. He stepped into the hallway, the cracked bulb above flickering like dying hope. The lock clicked shut behind him, cold and final. But before he could walk away, a violent cough erupted inside, dry, broken, then harsh, choking, as though her lungs were collapsing. Chloe's sobs followed, fragile but piercing. Ethan froze. His hands curled into fists until his nails drew blood. Memories of 20 years ago surged, the moment he let pride steal Emily away. If he walked now, he would lose her again. Worse, he would lose Chloe's future. His heart thundered with an undeniable truth. If he turned away this time, he would never forgive himself. The hallway outside Emily's door felt suffocating. The flickering light bulb buzzed, shadows stretching long and thin across the damp walls. Ethan leaned against the cracked plaster, his heart pounding. Inside, Emily's coughing grew harsher, mixed with Chloe's fragile sobs. Each sound stabbed him like a blade. His fists clenched, his nails digging into his palms until they drew blood. He couldn't leave. Not this time. Moments later, the door creaked open, just a sliver. Chloe peeked out, clutching a small trash bag, her eyes red and swollen. When she saw Ethan, she froze. For a heartbeat, no words passed, but her look spoke volumes, a desperate plea for help. She quickly shut the door again, hiding from her mother's notice. Ethan's chest twisted. He turned, dragging his heavy steps down the stairs. At the building's entrance, he stopped, pulling a thick envelope from his pocket, the cash he had prepared for a business deal. He climbed back up, knees trembling, and laid it gently before Emily's door. His hand lingered on the envelope, trembling with both fear and hope. He wanted to knock, to call her name, but the weight of years, of pain, of mistakes, silenced him. Inside, Emily staggered to the door after another violent fit of coughing. She gasped softly when she saw the envelope. Kneeling weakly, she picked it up, her fingers trembling as she opened it. Stacks of bills spilled into her hands. Her lips quivered. Ethan. The name slipped from her mouth like a breath she had been holding for 20 years. Down the hallway, hidden in shadows, Ethan heard her whisper. His eyes shut tight, tears burning behind them. He longed to step forward, to break through the distance, but fear chained his feet. Days later, the world crashed again. At St. Mary's Hospital, fluorescent lights gleamed too brightly, almost cruel in their whiteness. Ethan rushed down the corridor, his tie crooked, sweat dripping from his brow. The call still echoed in his head. "Mr. Brooks, this is Chloe's teacher. She collapsed at school. Your name is listed as her emergency contact." His chest tightened. How could his name be there? Yet none of that mattered now. On a stretcher ahead lay Chloe's small figure, her face pale, her lashes fluttering weakly. "Chloe!" Emily cried, stumbling forward before a nurse caught her trembling body. Another harsh cough forced blood into her tissue. Ethan's heart tore in two at the sight of both mother and daughter so fragile. The ER doors slammed shut, leaving him and Emily outside. She sank against the wall, shaking. "She's malnourished," Emily whispered, her voice breaking. Even a small wound made her collapse. I didn't know what else to do. When they asked for an emergency contact, I couldn't write Richard's name. He never cared. I wrote yours because I knew you would come." Her words pierced Ethan like an arrow. His throat closed tight. He could only nod. Then came the doctor's urgent voice. "We need typo-negative blood immediately. Supplies are low. Without it, her condition is critical." Ethan stepped forward without hesitation. "I'm O-negative. Test me." In the sterile exam room, a needle slid into his arm. He watched his blood flow into the vial, his mind storming. Memories rose, Emily once asking long ago, "Would you ever give a part of yourself for me?" And his young, confident answer, "Always. I'd be the first." Now those words returned, painfully real. The results came quickly. The doctor's eyes lit up. A complete match. Not just blood type. The markers are almost identical. It's rare, like between a parent and child. The world stopped. Ethan's breath caught. Emily stood frozen, her face pale as snow. The truth pressed in on all sides. Chloe was his daughter. Hours later, the transfusion was done. Through the frosted glass, Ethan watched Chloe lying unconscious, her chest rising slowly, the monitor beeping steadily. Relief and terror fought inside him. A nurse touched his shoulder gently. "You're lucky. This compatibility is rare. It's like she's your own child." Tears stung his eyes. He turned away, pressing a hand to his forehead. His heart thundered. Could fate be this cruel and this merciful at once? Emily appeared at the doorway. Her voice shook. "You saved her life. I don't know how to thank you." Ethan's lips trembled. He stepped closer, his voice raw. "Emily, is Chloe my daughter?" Emily recoiled, tears spilling. She turned her face away. "Don't ask. I have the right to know." Ethan's voice cracked with years of buried pain. "Why does everything match? Why does she look exactly like you did? Tell me the truth." Emily pressed her back against the wall, shaking violently. "I wanted to protect you, Ethan. You were building your life, your career. I couldn't burden you, so I chose silence. I thought I could raise her alone. I thought it was enough." Her voice broke, every word tearing her apart. Ethan's fists clenched. "All this time, I searched for you, and you suffered alone?" Before Emily could answer, heavy footsteps thundered down the corridor. Richard staggered into view, his shirt rumpled, his breath reeking of liquor, his eyes blazing with rage. "Emily, where's Chloe?" Emily flinched, coughing into her blood-stained handkerchief. "She's inside. Please, keep your voice down." Richard's eyes fell on Ethan. "You again. What are you doing here?" Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady as steel. "I'm here for Emily and Chloe, and I won't let you hurt them anymore." The corridor froze. Nurses whispered for security. Richard snarled, his voice venomous. "She's my wife. Chloe is my daughter. You can't take them." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You've starved them. You've broken them. That isn't love. That's abuse." Emily trembled, tears streaming down her face. Richard lunged forward, grabbing her arm. She cried out in pain. In an instant, Ethan shoved him back. "Don't touch her again." His voice thundered, shaking the walls. Security rushed in, forcing Richard back. Still, his bloodshot eyes burned with hatred. He spat his final threat. "You'll regret this, Ethan. I'll make you choose Emily or Chloe, and I'll be back." The words hung in the air like a curse. Ethan stood tall, shielding Emily with his body, his heart blazing with a vow. This time, he would not walk away. He would fight, no matter the cost. The echo of Richard's curse haunted Ethan long after security dragged him away. His threat was not empty. It was the promise of a man consumed by hatred. Weeks later, the truth unfolded in court. Emily, frail yet resolute, sat at the defendant's table. Chloe clutched her mother's hand tightly, her doll pressed to her chest. Across the aisle, Richard entered in a polished suit, smirking as though the trial was nothing but theater. The proceedings began. The CPS agent questioned Emily's health, her poverty, her ability to care for a child. Richard's lawyer painted him as the stable provider. Whispers rippled through the gallery. Then Ethan stood. His voice was steady, yet it carried the weight of years. "Enough. Chloe is my biological daughter. A DNA test proves it." Gasps filled the courtroom. Emily broke down, tears streaming. Chloe's eyes widened, trembling with both shock and relief. Richard slammed the table, roaring accusations. But Ethan's words struck like thunder. "The one who abandoned Chloe is not her mother. It was me. Emily carried this burden alone. If there is guilt, it is mine, not hers." The judge fell silent. Even the CPS representatives lowered their heads. Ethan's lawyer stepped forward with new evidence. Richard's company tied to fraud, his history of violence. The truth unraveled fast. Richard's rage exploded. In desperation, he drew a hidden knife, lunging forward. Screams filled the room. Chloe cried out, "Daddy!" Ethan shielded Emily and Chloe with his body as officers swarmed. Richard was dragged away, his roars echoing. The judge's gavel fell. "Richard Thompson, you are sentenced to life in prison without parole." At last, silence. A heavy silence, but one that carried freedom. Months later, sunlight bathed the schoolyard. Laughter filled the air as children ran across the field. Chloe stood at the starting line for the school's race. Her legs trembled, but her eyes shone bright. The whistle blew. Children sprinted past her, yet Chloe smiled and kept running, her small arms pumping with determination. She crossed the finish line last, but with her arms raised high. For the first time, she laughed without fear. From the stands, Emily wept softly, her hand over her heart. Ethan, still recovering from his own wounds, smiled proudly beside her. "That smile," he whispered, "is our greatest victory." Chloe ran to them after the race, grabbing both their hands. "Now I have a family," she said through her tears. Ethan bent, kissing her hair. Emily squeezed both their hands, her smile trembling but radiant. For a long moment, the three stood together, shadows stretching long across the sunlit field. A family reborn from pain, a promise fulfilled, and a lesson carved forever into Ethan's heart. That one act of compassion, one hand reaching out, can change the course of a life.